So, I've had VR for 3 years now, a little bit over 3 years, and I'm here to answer the question for you: is VR worth it in 2020? So, my answer would be yes, and I'm going to explain why my answer is yes. So, oftentimes people say there's not a lot of games for VR and there's a lot of tech demo stuff, which that was certainly the case a few years back. But now they're starting to come out with all these great, amazing experiences like Asgard's Wrath, Stormland, Boneworks, and just so many more upcoming games that are just groundbreaking. And like, if you have not tried VR, if you have not tried it, then I don't know why you even have an opinion on it. What, you got your opinion from some guy who's like, oh, I get motion sick in VR and cry about it. Oh my God. No, you need to try VR, okay? And then if you're like, whoa, this is immersive and awesome, then you definitely need to listen to what I have to say next. So, the games out right now, yeah, there's a few good ones, and there's still a lot of those tech demo type games. But a few things I'm also going to mention are the games that fans have made playable in VR. And I don't just mean with Vorpex, I mean with full virtual reality motion controls like hand movement, arm movement, and these actually have the whole body, not just the floating hands. That's still something I think is kind of dumb in VR, and some people still defend it, which those people are just brain dead. But here we go. I'll list off some mods that fans have made that work really well. The Quake 1 and 2 you can play in full VR, as well as Half-Life 1 and 2. You could play those in full VR. 2 is through Gary's mod, but I think eventually the person that made that will just make one straight up for Half-Life 2. Also, you can play Doom 1, 2, and the third BFG edition in full VR, and that's absolutely amazing. Doom 3 in VR it's one of the best experiences that I've had. Like, it is so immersive. Like, it has the whole body, and it's like you are in Doom 3. You are literally walking around in just a horror game and like a shooting game. It's amazing. It's really amazing, and I don't know why people don't mention stuff like this more. I'm not even done with that list yet. There's still more. Alien Isolation, you could play that game. People have made a mod for that, as well as the original Wolfenstein 3D. There's all kinds of these that I haven't even played yet, where they take a regular game and modders are modding motion controls in it to have full everything. 6 degrees of freedom, not just the 3 degrees of freedom that you get with Vorpex and stuff. But it's amazing. And that not even all. That's not even all. Dolphin VR lets you play pretty much any GameCube, Wii, and then the Nintendo 64 games that are on the other systems that they put on there, you could play through Dolphin in VR. And Mario Kart Wii in VR, I made an insane setup when I played through that game. It was so worth it. VR is so worth it. I got into it for about, I already had my gaming computer. If you already have a gaming PC, I think you should get into VR. Even if you go with a cheaper headset option, you're still getting into that, as long as you get the 6 degrees of freedom with motion controls. I still have my setup with the Pimax and Nolo, and Nolo's a 180 degree movement system, but I'd still say it's even worth it with that. Like, that's how I've played all these games. I'm also going to talk about some negatives. I'm not just going to talk about the positives in this video, but continuing on, you could also play Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 in VR, and I only tried a little bit. I cannot wait to play the rest of those and play through all those games, because I never played through them when they came out. I played a little bit, but oh my God, it's amazing. You have to do like some tweaking with this stuff to get it working, but once you do, it's amazing. It's why I love PC gaming and why I love VR. It's a really powerful thing that I think it just needs to take off more. But like I said, I'm going to talk about the negatives in a little bit. I'm going to keep going with the positives, though, because I still got a lot. And as far as regular games go that you can just go to Steam and buy that are good, Skyrim VR, it's amazing. It really is. Like, I know you've bought Skyrim how many times? You probably bought it on the PS3 or 360 and on PC, and it's like, yeah, Skyrim, it's a meme. You buy it 50 times. But you get some mods in there. Wow. You get you get Grand Theft Auto 5 working in VR with like a simple drag and drop thing. It's insane. And that doesn't have the motion controls with that mod, but it's only a matter of time before these games are fully playable with motion controls in VR. That is insane. Somebody is already making one for Halo Reach. There is already a full VR mod for the Master Chief Collection in working order of the video. He hasn't released it yet, but it looked to be working from the video that the developer that's working on it is. So it's amazing. Like, if these developers are still disconnected, some of the developers are still disconnected. I do not get motion sick. The only time I've ever experienced motion sickness was not in VR. It was in real life, and it was actually in the back seat of a Cadillac on a windy road. So I know what it feels like, but I certainly don't get it in VR, and I'm very glad that I don't. But that's definitely something you got to test out and see if is for you, but it's probably not. You know, the vast majority of people, what these developers need to do is develop the motion controls in mind with like a regular control scheme, okay? And what I mean by that is, take a controller, for example. Okay, you have 2 analog sticks, you have the buttons and all that. So have that, the VR controllers, and let you be able to basically control the game regularly, but you still have the 6 degrees of freedom in the arms and the hand movement. That's what all these games need to have. Now, there are still some games that still only have teleporting around, but none of the ones that I play, because I hate that. I think it's stupid. I did get Boneworks. I have not played it yet. I have so many other games that I'm playing right now in VR, and I can't wait to play that. That's going to be amazing, what I've seen from that. It's just, VR is definitely worth it. Like, if you love video games and you love new, innovative experiences in games, VR is definitely something that you should get. I mean, even if you have a PS4 or you buy the PS5, you're going to be able to play VR on that. You know, I have tried out many headsets. I'm also going to talk about what headset might be right for you in this video. This is kind of an all-around video for VR. Why it hasn't like taken off, why it's you need to try it, and is it worth it for you. So the different options and headsets, like I said, I still have the Pimax with the Nolo setup, but there's a lot of inside-out tracking setups with the Windows Mixed Reality and the Oculus Quest. And the Quest is its own thing. So if you don't have like a full-fledged gaming PC, you can still play some of the games. You can still sideload onto that. Like, you can play Half-Life 1 in VR on the Oculus Quest with the full motion controls and everything, not even plugged into a PC. So that's definitely something you should look into if you don't already have a gaming PC. But if you have a gaming PC, VR is most definitely worth it. You know, you don't have to buy the $1,000 Valve Index. You don't have to buy these insanely expensive headsets. You can definitely get into it. The pixel density of the Pimax that I still have is quite well. There's no screen door effect on that. Like, it looks amazing. So people are just crybabies when it comes to VR, and people just don't realize how amazing it's going to be when more and more AAA developers see this. So buying into it now is still worth it, because like I said, there's already a back catalog and there's people making mods for all kinds of old games that you could play in VR. And like I said, GameCube, Wii, and all those games, you could play them in VR. Now like I said, there's tweaking you have to do for some of those, but it's just amazing what you can do with VR. Like, you don't have to be limited by what AAA developers and what other people are releasing. And I'm also going to talk about some other game recommendations, but I'm going to continue talking about the different headsets. I did try PSVR a little bit. I have tried the original Oculus. Like I said, I'm good with my Pimax. You can get this set up for about $400 or less, probably, if you look. If you really look, you know. I think altogether I paid more because I got the Pimax when it first came out, and then I got Nolo a little bit after, so I was still only playing 3 Degrees of Freedom games through Vorpex when I first got VR, and I still thought it was worth it. And you might not even know what I'm talking about with Vorpex. Vorpex is a software that you buy for $30 that lets you play pretty much any flat game you could think of in VR A lot support full geometry, which means like it loads like a regular VR game would. Like you see the geometry, like distance between objects. But even if it doesn't have that, some games that don't have that are still like far more immersive than you would get playing on a screen, because you still see it's like still VR. So I don't like these things. You really need to try VR to know what I'm talking about with the different rendering method. But there's a huge games list. I'll link in the pinned comment or in the description of Vorpex and the game list so you can fully play. Now, these don't have motion controls, but I kind of have a setup to where I have two PS3, what do you call them? They have the thumbstick on them, not the Move controller, but the separate things. You can kind of make those to where you're holding them in one hand and the other hand and play. Like I played through most of Modern Warfare 2 campaign in VR with that setup through Vorpex, and I thought it was amazing. So there's still a lot that can be done, even ignoring the mainstream like game developers. Like, oh, they're not. Why is there not like? I'm trying to think of a big game. I can't even think of one right now. Why is there not Call of Duty full VR or something like that? That's when I'm going to buy into VR. I had to take a sip of water. I've been talking and talking. This better be fucking recording. Okay, it is. I'm going to condense this down a little bit, but this is a long video. You're tuning in. You're making your full decision right now on should I buy VR? Is it time? You know, I'm really trying to go through everything here. So I know it's a lot to take in. Hopefully you're making it to this point. But yeah, yes, it's definitely, you can play the Solus project. And there are developers that are starting to recognize, like even they're just taking their other games that they already made. And like if you already played the game flat, I guess don't get it again. But most of these games I haven't even played flat. Like Layers of Fear, they have a full VR game of that. I have not played that. So, I mean, that'd be a great VR experience. I mean, VR is amazing. Like, even, like, third-person games that you can play in VR. I played some of that. Well, actually, I played most of that Super Lucky Tales VR game. And it's very cool. Now, I do prefer the first-person VR game. Like, you are the character. You are in this world. You are doing everything. But seeing like a platformer or just like a third-person game in VR, like Hellblade has VR support, and it's just like you see the scale of the world, and you see it is still more immersive than playing it on a monitor, even though it's a third-person game. So that's something else to keep in mind as well. So headsets, I got a little sidetracked there. So right now, there is the Vive Pro, the Vive Cosmos, the Oculus Rift, the Oculus Rift S, the HTC Vive, the HTC Vive Pro. I mean, there's so many headsets out. I could imagine someone that's like, oh, I should get into VR, seeing all this, and then going on Steam and being like, oh, the Valve Index is $1,000. Holy shit. And just being like, oh, VR is too expensive for me. But there are alternative options. I mean, you just have to look into what headset is right for you, you know? I like high resolution, and the original Pimax 4K has that resolution to where it eliminates the screen door effect, but it's 60 FPS and not 144 like the Valve, whatever the fuck. You see, it's confusing. There's so many out, it's confusing. The Valve Index. But that's good enough for me because I like to push games to the limit of their graphics, like with super sampling and everything. So getting a game to run in full VR at 60 FPS is still a very immersive experience. You know, it's still VR. It's still very immersive. It doesn't take me out of it that I'm experiencing 30 less frames than the 90 hertz VR headsets out there, you know? The Pimax 4K is still something I would recommend in 2020. Now, the other ones are out. I've come very, very close to purchasing the 5K Plus, but I'm still going to wait a little bit on that. Like there's still I think you should get into VR, but just know that it's something that in a few years they're going to come out with another headset that's even better, that's going to have wider field of view, bigger this, bigger that, but you still have that VR and you can still have these experiences right now, and you could still play very many games right now. Waiting and waiting and waiting is something that's just stupid. Like waiting and waiting and waiting. Like for instance, I don't really pay $60 for games right when they come out. I wait. So if that's your thing, then you could also wait. But I wanted VR and I wanted to get into it. So if you're that type of person that wants the innovative experiences and wants it, definitely. You probably have already bought it if you're that type of person. You're on this video because you're wondering, should I buy VR? Is it worth it? What's worth it on VR? So let's talk about some more games in VR that are not just little tech demos, basically, because there were a lot of those when VR initially came out. Like there were games that were like 15 minutes long, or just like they weren't substantial, but they were like a cool little experience. But I don't really recommend those to people wanting to be like, whoa, like to be amazed with VR. I recommend the full games. Like Half-Life Alyx is coming out. Like literally Valve is releasing Half-Life fucking 3 on VR. Like that's what it's becoming. And people that say, oh, Half-Life Alyx isn't Half-Life 3. Guess what, motherfucker? It is. Half-Life Alyx is Half-Life 3, bitch. So it is. It's being released only for VR, you know? And that's going to support a wide range of headsets. And I have, like I said, I have one of the cheaper VR setups with the Pimax 4K and Nolo, and I still have quite a bit of fun in VR. And I don't really have issues with Steam VR. And like Nolo is not this big extravagant thing. It has one lighthouse and it has the controllers, and like there is a way you can get 360 tracking with that. You have to mount it on the ceiling, but that's another video for another time. So my answer, yes, VR is worth it. There are amazing games right now. There are amazing games coming very soon. After the time of the recording of this video, like, wow, it's just so amazing to live in this time. Like, we literally have virtual reality. This is what people were dreaming of when they were a kid, playing on an NES and playing on these other systems. And just like of all time, they're like, whoa, in the game. You are in the game. That's what VR is. And people that undersell it or bitch about it, they're just not that intelligent of people. They can't understand what this is. And they can't, I can't go into the files and tweak a few things and get regular games to run in VR. Oh no, I can't do that. That's too much work for me. Like, it's just, do you want to get an amazing experience, like playing Metroid Prime in full VR, and not aiming your gun with your head? You can turn on free movement of your head and have the gun pointing in whatever direction you aim it. That's what you can do on Dolphin. So, and I mean, like I said, Mario Kart Wii is enough to sell it for most people. I mean, that was so amazing. I made this like steering wheel for the Wii controller, and I had the VR headset on, and I was immersed. I was in Mario Kart. I was literally in Mario Kart, racing around. Insane. That's what people dream of when they play these. So, I mean, even if you like watching movies, you can watch movies on a home theater. Like, are you a billionaire or a millionaire with your own home theater at your house? No? Well, if you have VR, guess what? You can have a huge screen bigger than at the movie theater in your house. All you have to do is put on a VR headset and load up an application and play it. Wow. Yeah, VR is worth it. Okay? And there's also non-gaming things that are cool in VR as well. And I'm about to talk about those. Like I said, this is a long video. I'm going through everything. Okay? So there's Google Earth VR. That is awesome. I've spent hours in that. It is so cool. Like, you can literally travel the world in VR. And you could look around at these places. It's so cool. And then there's also there's this musical experience, not like a musical like singing around, but it's like the music is in tune with stuff happening in VR. What's it called? Like Fantastical or something? It's on Steam. It's amazing. I've spent 2 hours in it. And it's just like one experience where it plays a song and you just see everything happening in VR. It's amazing. This is the future. We live in the future right now. Like Back to the Future. We live in a more futuristic future than Back to the Future. What? The dumbass flying cars? No, we have VR. That's just going to keep improving, as well as AR. But that's another video. This is talking about VR. And I've already answered it several times over. If I haven't already sold you on the idea of VR, I don't know what is. Like, if you're one of these people that get motion sick, there are even still options for you in these games to teleport around. I think that's stupid. I want full locomotion. Motion. I want full locomotion in everything. I want to be able to sprint around. I have this setup where I have there's like this workout thing that I kind of turned into a ghetto VR treadmill, and I made these shoes that have carpet sliders on them. I could sprint around. Like, you can see one of my Skyrim VR videos that I did back on this channel. I was literally sprinting around in Skyrim, getting out of breath because I was sprinting across the land in Skyrim. That is amazing. It's awesome. And you have these memories, like when you play these really immersive VR games and you're just having a great time. Like, you know how you remember things in real life? You know how you remember things like that happen in real life? You kind of remember it like that in your head. Like things that happen in the game sometimes you remember in your head. Like even just a wave shooter, which were a lot of those towards the beginning of VR. There's Serious Sam wave shooter. I remember in my head the first time one of those the crawly things like ran up to me. I remember that in my head. I was like, oh fucking shit. Because it's right there. It's in front of you. Like this thing is about to jump on you and fuck you up. I mean, it might be too much for some people. Like, I mean, I played Outlast in VR. Holy shit. Can I hide in here? Get the fuck in there now! Oh! Oh shit! Oh! Oh, fuck you! Oh no! Let's go! Wow. That game in VR was so immersive and so awesome. Like when I play a horror game on the screen, I never get scared at all. But I played that game in VR and I got fucking scared. I'm not going to be afraid to admit it. I did. You could see it in my playthrough. So, I mean, hopefully you don't have a heart attack. It's that immersive sometimes. I don't get these people that don't like VR. And I don't get these people. I'm going to put this comment on the screen if I remember. I typed a comment like, I'm so sick of these unimmersive floating hands, because there's a lot of games that do have that. And this person was like defending it, like, oh, the floating hands are blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, when more developers realize, hey, let's put the whole body and the arms in the game, yeah, it's harder to track that just based off your hand movements. But I've seen it done. LA Noir VR, it's done it perfectly for me. You know, these games have done it perfectly. And Doom 3 BFG, oh my god. That was another one that's just holy shit. I could talk about this for like my VR experiences for long and long. But I've mentioned a few of the headsets. That's definitely something you should look into if you have not looked into it. Like I said, the different options. If you have a console, of course, PSVR. And there's so many games on there that I'd love to play as well, but I don't. When I buy the PS5, I think I'm going to buy a PSVR just so I could play Farpoint. There's like a 007 game. I mean, there's that Iron Man VR. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be a full-fledged, like, full, long campaign VR game, but that'd be insane if it was. I know the James Bond game and the Farpoint, those are, like, full games, and then, I don't know, PSVR has a lot of awesome games coming out, and I don't even have that. And I'm like, whoa, that would be a fun experience. I know it's, like, weaker than my PC and all that, but I mean, it's still VR. So even if that's all you have, you're still in virtual reality. Like there's even this game called Ultra Wings. It's on PC. It's on PSVR. And you fly around in these planes. And that's fun too. Like you're flying around in these planes. You're doing missions. You're buying islands. It's like, I like the VR experiences, but I also like the VR games. Like, I think that's something else that we're going to see in VR a lot is like experiences. Like, they take you through something. Like, it won't be a game where you're running around shooting stuff. Like, that's fun too. But I think even the experiences are enough to warrant for the future of VR. Like, I haven't played Lone Echo, but people have mentioned that's like kind of an experience. Like, you're in the space. I want to play that. I mean, there's so many games that I haven't even played yet that people are like, this is amazing. This sells VR. I haven't even played some of those games yet. And I'm still like, VR is worth it. I've gotten every bit of money's worth out of my VR setup. And like I've said, I've tried the other ones. And I'd be pleased with those as well. Like, even if I had jumped the gun and bought the original Oculus CV1 when it came out, I'd still be happy about it because it's awesome. VR is great. So there you go. I'm trying to think if there's any other thing I want to add into this. This has been a long talk here. You could also play Gary's mod in VR. Someone made the VR mod for that. Like I said, that's how you play Half-Life 2. You can play through the whole game through Gary's mod in VR. But you can also just play Gary's mod in VR, which I used to play that game so much. And now you could just play it in VR. I mean, that's a game you could spend hours on just by itself, you know? So VR is definitely worth it. You need to try it. If you have not even tried it yet, and you're one of these people that types like, VR it's not the future. Oh my God. Like, if you're an Xbox fanboy or something, and you're like, VR is overrated. Oh my God. Or you just haven't tried it, then just shut up. You don't know what it is. So I don't even know why you're speaking on it if you have not even tried VR yet. And no, I'm not saying go try Job Simulator or something stupid like that. I mean, yeah, it's still VR, but it's just dumb. It's one of those tech demo games that I was talking about towards the birth of consumer VR. I'm talking try these other things. Like, especially, like, what would I be the first recommendation that you play in VR? I'm trying to think. I might do recommendation videos for games to play. I already gave you enough to bite off here in this should you buy VR. My answer is fuck yeah. Buy VR. Enjoy it. Okay? Buy it. What are you waiting for? I mean, I know it was on sale during the holidays, but you know they're probably going to announce another headset soon. You know, it's only a matter of time before they come out with another one and another one. So, I don't know. Just make your decision. It's up to you if VR is worth it. If all the stuff I mentioned to you right now doesn't sound cool, I don't know what the fuck does, son. I don't know what does. If playing GameCube, Wii games, many PC games that fans have made full VR mods for, many actual games in VR, full VR. I don't know what it is. Arizona Sunshine, I just beat that yesterday. A lot of people can blaze through the game in 3 hours. I have 8 hours just playing through the base campaign of that game. The gunplay is fun in that game. It's a decent zombie game. Okay? Is it a AAA Ultra experience? No. But it's definitely immersive, and you're walking around, you feel like you're in The Walking Dead, running up to a zombie and popping him in the head. That all unintentionally rhymed because I'm a beast. You should subscribe if you have not already. And be sure to drop a like and help the video out. Help out small creators, you know? Maybe you're watching this 10 years in the future and I'm a multi-million sub channel and I'm not a small creator anymore. If this site's even around in 10 years if they don't kill it. What else? I bought a bunch of games recently for VR. I'm trying to find them. I have a big Steam library, and this new Steam library sucks. I already did a little rant about that. You could play Payday 2 in VR, like if you have friends that get VR. I don't have any friends with VR to play VR with. That'd be insane if I could play like co-op games in VR. I would imagine that's better. I haven't really got into VR chat. That's not really my thing. If that's your type of thing, go for it. If that's what sells you on VR, then play that. But I'm for games, like games and experiences and like even the cool videos that I've watched in VR. Like there's VR videos. You already know what other VR videos there are. Those are good too. Serious Sam 1 through 3 in VR. I never played through those games. I was never a Serious Sam fan. I was more Duke Nukem and stuff. But you can play Duke Nukem 3D, the first chapter, in VR through Serious Sam Fusion. You download it from the Steam Workshop. Wow. Insane. Insane stuff. The Forest, that's a game that I bought years and years ago, and for free, they gave me, well, they gave everyone the VR version of the game. Like, you just play the game in VR, and that's fun too. I used to play that a lot when it came out. I want to play through and actually beat the story since they completed that. You can find Jimmy. You can find little Jimmy in that game now. But like I said, Google Earth is free. Like, actually, that's one of the first things I would recommend you try is Google Earth VR. That's one of the first, like, let's say you get your VR headset, try that out. It's free. It's right on Steam, or if you get like the Oculus, pretty sure it's on there as well. Cool stuff. All right. I think I'm kind of getting redundant. I think I've mentioned most of what I want to mention in this video. So, buy VR, play it, stop being a bitch, stop being a pussy, and if you have motion sickness, just get used to it. Get used to it over time. Like I said, I know what it feels like. It sucks. I have never got it from VR, but I do know what it feels like. It's not fun, but I feel bad. I feel really bad for those people that get motion sick in VR. Like G-Man Lives, like he's done 6 VR reviews, and he's just like, I get motion sick, blah. Like, fuck. He's not going to be able to experience these awesome things unless he just gets over that. So, there you go. So, things I recommend, the games I listed, Dolphin VR, Vorpex, you can just play so much stuff in VR. It's awesome. Buy it. I just fucking kicked my mic a little bit. Didn't mean to do that. But I'm going to get on editing this video. You've already watched it at the time that it's uploaded. So if you made it to the end, type I made it. That'd be greatly appreciated. As well as a subscribe if you're new. And check out some of the other content that I do. I have a few VR playthroughs on this channel, as well as the Outlast one that I was talking about, and Dying Light. I played that in VR. I actually finished the game not on the channel, but it was just pretty much that shit QTE ending. But yeah, I played through that in VR. It was pretty beast. So there you go. Be sure to drop a like. Peace.